Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Vanilla Heroes. I hope you guys enjoyed that time lapse. It was a lot of fun getting to just take the time to get ourselves a decent amount of coral, and I'd say we're doing pretty good. Like, it's not overwhelming amounts, especially on this section. We might have to go back and actually set ourselves up a little small decorative coral farm, but for the time being, it'll do. And we also managed to get ourselves a whole load of tropical fish. Now, every single one of them in this line is filled with tropical fish, and I tried to keep the variety pretty widespread. The part that I'm not just completely thought on is pufferfish. I want to swim around in here, and pufferfish are a pain in the butt. So I'm not 100% sold on that. And then I also put out on Twitter, if you guys are following me on there, that I want names for these fish. I got a few answers, so I might be naming a few this episode, but it's a lot easier to name them in the bucket than it is to get enough name tags for that. So, as discussed last episode, today we are going to go back into the aquarium and get this thing all finished up. What I want to start off with is going ahead and getting the terraforming done on this wall, kind of like we did on this wall. And that's going to be quite a bit of work for me. So I think that's where we're going to start off today. And I will catch you guys once I'm feeling pretty confident on how this wall looks. Alright, so we've not gotten anywhere. I finished the underside of the cave, making it look a little bit better, which, to be fair, probably didn't need to be touched in the first place. And then started working on this. I do really like this section where the sand just kind of sloped out. Almost looks like something could be coming out of it or something crashed into it. So that could be an interesting design for the art pieces. But I had the thought after getting to about here that this wall would actually do pretty well with having like some corals coming off of it. So like for here we could probably get away with something like this, where we do a coral fan out of it. Something like that. Let's see how that looks. Maybe we actually go one wide with these instead of bulky, and then trim them. Oh, they died because there is no water in there. Well, that's unfortunate. See if we can get in there to grab the dead coral. So what I'm thinking is something like this. And one, it saves us from going through the hell that is terraforming. But it also acts as kind of something that looks good. We throw some sea pickles on there or some regular coral plants on there, and that's looking pretty good. And then underneath here, we can always throw a little bit more sandstone down there. Now, the other issue that I've run into is when we built this, I was pretty determined that this was a gigantic aquarium. Like, we had more room than we actually needed. But now with actually trying to add stuff to it, it feels almost too small, which is really sad because we've only got 4 blocks of water. Now, let's go ahead and switch to blue here and get to work. So what I'm thinking is we've got a coral plant coming out from here. I'm going to keep this one with the tube coral feel. So maybe something like that. Bring it up like that from the ground. we can go up. But see, the issue is if we go any higher, we're now sticking out of the water, which doesn't look good. So in reality, we've got 3 blocks in hopes to make a decent looking coral. So I'm going to play around with that and hopefully be able to get back to you guys with some cool ideas, because the ideas that I was wanting to do, which was I wanted to have a ship that was coming out of the side, I wanted a treasure chest that was opened, like a mini volcano like they had in like Finding Nemo. But none of the designs that I can kind of come up with really fit very well in such a small area. So I'm going to try to come up with like 4 or 5 good designs that are only 3 tall but still look good. And I'll catch back up with you just to get your guys' opinion. Alright guys, so I think I came up with something that I kind of like. Just gotta make sure we can swim through it fairly easy. Pretty easy to navigate through even in the smaller sections. So that's not too bad. What I really want to do is actually intermingle these. And another thought that I was having is for fans like this. I like the skinny fans versus the bigger fans like that over there. That was my attempt to go after like a brain coral kind of lump, and it doesn't look the way I want it to. But something that I think could work is alternating colors like this, kind of like mimicking what we had before, but now it's 2 fans together. They both individually stand out, but at a point to where they still look okay. And you could even build off of this one and go with something like that instead. But I think we might start to reach a point there where we get a bit too cluttered. So I might fray away from doing stuff like that. But I feel like if we keep all the colors separate from each other, we're going to end up with something that doesn't feel so much like a coral reef. I do really like this. This was kind of mimicked after what we actually saw at the coral reef itself. And I'm really liking how this is going to look. I think I'm going to get rid of that red though. So I'm going to play Dang it, I keep killing my coral. Dang it. Alright, well I'm going to keep playing around with this and see if we can come up with something that really all just flows together. And on top of that, we might need to start throwing in some grass, because I feel like that's something we're missing. It's very plain by itself, but once we add in other parts into the seafloor, we could get a better idea. Actually, let's add grass in first and we can take away as we add in. We didn't go overboard in the slightest. Let's trim this back a little bit. Okay, so I dialed it back quite a bit. It's still a bit much. I think I got a bit carried away, but the bonus is we've got plenty of grass to breed turtles, and up until a couple seconds ago, they wouldn't leave me alone. So we're trying to get our turtle population pumped up here, and I'm also trying to reposition the eggs onto the opposite beach, because currently all of them are laying their eggs onto this little cove. And I want to start having them also go to the other cove for hatching. The other part is that they only put them on this corner. Like, they never actually go any deeper in. And I think it's because they've all been hatching from that exact block. And they only want to hatch their egg on the block that they hatched from, which is a little odd if I do say so myself. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to hop into a time lapse, because it wouldn't be a true Dive Shark episode without a time lapse. And this is going to be a little less organized. We're going to try our best to finish this wall. And there's probably going to be a lot of trial and error, but I want them to keep this very tight, clustered look together. And I'm really hoping that you guys are liking this. And I guess I'll see you in the comments below. Alright, catch you guys in the time lapse. Alright, so I think we're finally at a point that I feel happy enough with it to let you guys see what I've been up to. I went ahead and started throwing in a few kelps, aiming for a lower age so that they would hopefully not reach the top, and I succeeded on a couple of them. Like this one, I think if I check its age, it's at 25, so that's not going to grow any taller than that, and I might play around with that a little more, but I'm thinking this is looking pretty good. Of course, I think there still needs to be some work with this back wall. Since it's just flat sand, I think we could do some collapsing sand in between them. But I'm really glad I didn't waste all of the time going ahead and terraforming it like this, because I'm actually running into some issues with this and just trying to throw some coral in it. So I think that could be something that I end up fighting towards the end. But I did a lot of research. I was trying to find some good examples of coral designs, and there's really not a lot. I went to the Decidedly Vanilla people and saw that most of theirs were something like this, something simple, or using a couple here and there in the wall just to add some color, and that wasn't quite what I was going for. And what I found suits best is really just letting the blocks do what you want them to do. So if you want, so like right now I've got a fan coming out of the ground. I haven't done a tube cluster in a little while, so I could easily just go one tube up to 3, and then you just kind of play around with it. Something like that will go into the ground a bit. Off the back, we can go with another ground piece. Just kind of decorate different spires. And then as you can see with like this pink coral, I've went very, very abstract with it, but it looks fine. And then once you start adding in, let's see if I can get over there. Once you start adding in all of these little bits, it really takes your mind off of any of the weird curves. So if you decide that you're going to go with some sort of coral design, I think the best bet is just to have fun with it. Don't think too hard. And if it doesn't look good once you've added all of the small details onto it, adjust it a little bit here and there, and I don't think it's going to be the end of the world. So I'm going to go ahead and start working on trying to get the rest of this. I've still got about 3/4 left to do, maybe a third, 2/3 left to do. But I think we're going to be good on coral blocks, and I'm not entirely sure on coral plants, but we'll see. Alright guys, I wasn't going to do this. He's been in there for probably about a minute now, just waddling back and forth. But I just wanted to give you a glimpse of what this was like. The freeform isn't so bad. It's getting easier. As you can tell, we're getting close to being done. We're actually on the final stretch. But the two worst parts of this project, hands down, turtles getting stuck inside the corals like this. They won't move. Go! And then the other one is probably has to be dolphins constantly stealing my items when I break them. Okay, well, let's just get this done. Alright guys, so we are back, and I could not be happier with how this actually turned out. all the coral is in place, all the decorations are in, and it's looking fantastic. I think it's missing a couple of details, one being a big one and one being a small one. Let's focus on the smallest one first. So this wall still looks good with its terraforming in, and I just threw in some corals to make it look good. And I started playing around over here, but I thought that we might actually want to wait till I at least have you guys here to kind of run through it. But like things like right here, I think we could get away with a falling sand there and a falling sand here. So what I want to do is just go around here, spruce it up a little bit, make it look a little more organic. Okay guys, so that is looking 100 times better, just with that little bit of a curve there, some small variations. It breaks up this wall the same way we had with this wall, and it kind of ties it all together. We are missing bubbles though. Alright, I might have to do that after I do get this out of the way. But for those that are unaware, I post on my Twitter fairly frequently. The link is down below if you're interested. And one thing that I put out there a couple days ago was, what would you guys like to see some fish named throughout these? So like, for instance, one of our followers said that they'd like to see bubbly or bubbles. So bubbles is officially going to be the blue tang. And the offer is still out there. If anyone watching this wants to see a fish reasonably named, gonna throw that out there because there's some crazy people out there, go ahead and comment in this video or go onto my Twitter and let us know. I hopefully would love to see every fish that we're putting in here named, and we've got close to 400, so it's gonna take a bit. And I feel like this would be a great way to like kind of bring you guys along inside the journey. And I'm also not opposed to naming the turtles. I do think we have as many turtles as we're going to put in there. And so far we've only got 2 dolphins in here, and I'm not sure how much that's going to change. So yeah, keep that in mind. If you guys want to see a name on something, let me know. Meanwhile, I am going to go ahead and start naming these, and I will catch you guys once we're ready. Okay, so we have Frankie, Ernie, Lenny, Peach, Bloat, Yuki, Dory, Swirly, Bubbles, Merlin, Flounder, Gil, Lola, Angie, Cupcake, Ziggy, Divefish, Bernie, Sykes, Mr. Ray, Nigel, Sushi, Nemo, and Whirly. And I also want to give a big thanks to Beatblocks, Grim's Ghost, Fry Lover Sarah, Miss Tina, and Galax, who all pitched in with giving me names to work off of. We're going to go ahead and release these scattered throughout our aquarium. And then I'm also going to go ahead and release everything else. Weird fish thing happening there. We're going to release... Ooh, look at Nemo. We're going to release all the rest of them, and I will let you guys see once we have a reasonable amount released. I'm hoping I don't have to release all of them, but given how fast these guys are disappearing, I think we might have to. Okay guys, so this is looking so much better than I could have imagined. The bubbles look fantastic, but they're doing some pretty weird stuff with the turtles and the dolphins and the fish. It's quite an interesting phenomenon to look at, but it's kind of distracting, so I don't know if those are going to be sticking around. But the fish look fantastic. I think overall we put in 16 chests worth of fish and puffer fish, which that's another story. They make swimming a lot more dangerous. But that's over 400 fish inside of this thing, and unfortunately it seems like a whole lot of them are pathfinding to this corner. A whole lot of them. Now, the only thing that I can think about is there's a lot of ocean that direction. So I'm not sure if there's a chance that they're pathfinding to the ocean out there, and it might get fixed if I drain out that side of the ocean. For instance, when I actually start building the walls of this base. But for now, they're all kind of just clustered here, and it's kind of a shame because the parts that actually have the schools of fish the way that they're supposed to be look really cool. So my question is, does anyone that watches my videos know what's going on here? Because I don't, and I would love to know if I'm correct in my assumption or if there's something else that I could fix. The other question is, I read on the wiki that they can form into clusters up to 9, like this one that we see in front of us. Is there a way to limit the schools of fish to a certain size? Like, can you force it to only be clusters of 2 or 3 or 4? That way they look like they're in manageable amounts and the schools of fish kind of walk off separately. Not the biggest deal breaker, but it is kind of a shame. But with all of this out of the way, I think that's all I have time for today. I mean, we accomplished a lot, and this definitely went out my comfort zone. This was 3 going on 4 days of just kind of playing around with some abstract shapes that I wasn't sure of, because I wanted this to look right. I didn't want to just rush through it. So I think we did it just right. But I would love to know if you guys have any tips for making this look better. I'm sure there's somewhere in here that we could improve this. And that would be fantastic to hear from you guys. And then the other question is, what should we do with this? The slabs was meant to be temporary, and here we are 25, I think, episodes into this. No, we're 24 episodes in. And we're still kind of walking up and down these slabs like this is going to be a permanent home, and I don't think we should. So let me know if you guys have any ideas for this. I want this to be almost like a central island. We could go something shaped like this underneath it, or we could go more sky blocky with a floating island. I think I'm leaning more towards this. And then I'm thinking like a Japanese style gazebo. Something enclosed, use the nether portals as kind of my gates inside of it, and I think it would look really nice. But I have no clue what we're going to make this out of. So just let me know. I am all ears for whatever you guys have to say, and all of your thoughts are definitely appreciated. If you guys enjoyed this video, please feel free to like, and if you really enjoyed it, make sure to subscribe, click the bell icon, you'll be notified when I let anything else out, and I definitely love your guys' support. It's great to have a community like you that does like to engage, and it's really fun getting to know you guys. So I look forward to catching you guys in the next one, and I hope you guys have a great day. See you later.